Hey everyone, welcome back to Hey Hannah. I'm your host, Hannah Ostapchuk. Hannah Ostapchuk Kraus, actually. I haven't decided if I'm gonna go like full. I think I should go full Hannah Kraus, right? What do you guys do, the recently married people? Do you keep messing it up like me? Because I need to commit, and it's such a weird adjustment. I'm like, yeah, I've casually spent like 34 years calling myself one thing, and I'm just gonna totally switch it up. So I don't know how I'm gonna do that just yet, but I know I'm certainly adopting Kraus in some shape or way or form. So I guess we'll see how that all unfolds. But I'm talking to you guys on January 13th. It's actually my birthday, which is so funny. I'm turning 35. Feel fully like middle-aged, you know? There's nothing like entering a new checkbox. I am now in the area where I think it's like 18 to 34. I'm now in like the 35 to, God, I think it's like 49, which is so funny. Yeah, I'm getting up there, but I actually just like, I don't care. You know, the days are long, but the years are short. That's what they always say. I've always embraced birthdays. I've always felt like every year should be a celebration, even if we're not where we want to be, even if we are where we want to be, if we've got nothing going on, everything going on. I just think like living should be celebrated in some capacity. And that sometimes means just like sitting at home. That's what I'm doing right now, recording this podcast. Okay. So I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys about everybody does this thing in January where it's like suddenly everybody wants to tell you how to like own the year. This year is going to be the best year and how to take control of your life in 2026. And I feel like January, even though it's a long, seemingly quiet month, everyone talks about goals, vision boards, habits, systems, how to rewire to get to where you want to be, how to hit all of your goals in 2026. Everybody wants to reflect or rebrand their life, reset all of it. Now, I think that's all great. And if that is something that you want to do, like, I am not going to stop you. Oh, if that's you, and if you're like, I really want to rebrand, I need, X, Y, and Z goals. I need to hit all of those things this year. I want to do it right now. I feel the passion to do it right now. Like, please go for it. I think that that is so awesome. Now, one thing about me is I'm just tired. I'm tired right now. I sometimes I see these things in the new year about, and maybe it's because my birthday is also in January, so I associate it all in a lump sum. Like I just think of like one new year in January is always about like resetting and reimagining your goals. And this is what I want to talk to you guys about today. I just always think that sometimes we are so focused on the rebrand in January when the rebrand can really happen at any point in time. I mean, this podcast is a perfect example because I have been wanting to start this for years. And I think I started it in October? So like you can totally do anything you want at any point in time. Now, January is a great excuse to do it, but I just think it's like for such a soft and quiet month, there's a really loud presence about like change and you can do this and here are all the things you need to do to reset your life and hit all of your goals in 2026. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and why I think that like your life is simply not a checklist of all of these goals and missions you have to hit in the new year. And I'm not going to be like over here, talking crap about anyone who wants change or any sort of rebrand in 2026, because again, I think that's really cool. And I'm always going to push that. But I do think that sometimes there are times when you're like, I can't imagine trying harder in other categories right now. So we'll go through that in a little bit. Quick housekeeping and what's going on. I'm 30 weeks pregnant this week. I am fully in my third trimester. I'm like out of breath as I'm talking. It's so funny. Oh, I don't know how I'm constantly out of breath. So yeah, I'm in my third trimester and I didn't know how exhausted I would feel in my third trimester. People warned me that you're not going to sleep and you're going to be uncomfortable. and you're going to have that first trimester exhaustion again. But like, holy Toledo, I did not know. The nausea comes back a little bit, but like, still the third trimester is full of just new and improved surprises, as every trimester has brought thus far in beautiful ways. It's so funny though, because I just can't, like, more than ever, and this sounds so stupid because of course this is true, but more than ever, I just can't wait to meet her and hold her and like hang out with her. I like, even today being my birthday, I'm like, I wish I could just like hang out with my baby. Like, sounds so silly, but it's all I want to do. I'm like, Peter and I are going to go out tonight, but I'm like, I don't even need to go out. I wish I could just like hang inside and hold my baby. I can't do that. She's still growing, and oh, my Lanta, has she fully popped after the wedding. The dust is settled on the wedding, and now I'm like full, Peter and I talked about this in the last episode where we recapped some stuff about the wedding, but I'm full mommy to be mode. We have our baby registry going, we have a baby shower coming up, and I'm fully embracing all the things that has to do with being an up and coming mom, specifically one of them being slowing down a little bit, and trying to embrace just changes in my body. Going to the gym is one of those things that I've had to really change with every trimester specifically, let alone sometimes every day. If I could just get through a few sets, I am so freaking happy. I try to do a little bit of walk, some cardio, something, but like, I am not pushing it by any means. Just going and doing some stuff in the gym has me feeling accomplished. So there's that. What else is going on? You guys know I love to talk about television. Peter and I watched all of Stranger Things. I did fall for that giant misleading loophole on TikTok that was people telling me that there was going to be another episode that came out like January 5th or 7th or something. One of those things. I totally fell for it. I really was expecting like a whole other plot to unfold. That was really everyone just being sad that Stranger Things was over, which was really funny looking back. But alas, that show is done, and I've accepted that it's now officially over, and we're just going to have to let that lie. Very sad to see it end, though, but I did love how it all ended. I won't spoil it if anyone's still trying to catch up, because I know it's lots of seasons if anyone's rewatching like Peter and I did. I started watching the show Traitors. Now, everybody talks about the show, and I know that it's so popular, but for some reason, I could never get through the first episode. There's so many like dramatics happening in Traitors. Alan Cummings, he's fantastic. He's perfect for the job as the host of this show. But the lights, the fog, the sort of like zooming in and the music getting louder, I was always like, what am I watching? It was so confusing to me. So I could never get through the first episode. Now, I don't know what the difference is in this new season. I don't even think there was. Maybe they got to the plot a little bit faster, got to the drama a little bit faster. I felt that. I made it through the first episode and I was actually really invested. So we're here. I'm watching Traitors now, and I really like the cast. I don't want to spoil anything, but I love who they picked as the Traitors, and it's one of those shows that it's like, it's the perfect show to have on if you're like cooking dinner or you're doing something at the background where you're like half paying attention, because I think that like 80% of the show, you don't need to fully watch. You could walk away and miss something that happens in a scene. And, like, you can't do that in Stranger Things. You know what I'm saying? You have to be locked on that one. Oh, I had the novelty idea, and I didn't even know this was a thing. I was telling my friend Peyton about this, and she was just saying how this is like a thing that all wives are doing to their husbands. They're making them watch the Taylor Swift documentary. I did that unintentionally, knowing that that was like a thing that women are doing. But I think it's fantastic. I purposely waited until like the wedding craze was over, whatever. Peter and I come back here. I was like, I want to watch the Taylor Swift documentary, but I don't want to do it without you, because I want you to know why I like her. Like, I want you to get it. And I like Taylor Swift a lot. I like wouldn't say that I'm obsessed with every era or every whatever, but I've been a Taylor Swift fan my whole life. Like, I think her music's cool. I think she's a good person. Like, I like her. And I've always had a really hard time explaining to Peter, like, why I like her. He's like, why did you go to the Eras tour? And I'm like, she's just a cool person. Like, I don't know how to explain it. So making him watch it, we watched like 5 episodes. I think we still have one more, but he was like totally interested in it and loved the show. So my plan worked. Ladies, if you are trying to get your man to be like, why do you like Taylor Swift? Like, what is this? I recommend just putting on the Eras Tour documentary. Even if you just like put it on and walk away, Travis Kelce's in there, men like him. But I think if your guy, if your boyfriend, best friend, husband, whatever it is easily inspired, I feel like it's a perfect opportunity to get him to learn more about Taylor Swift, because that's how Peter is. He like will get hooked on something if he can be like a bit inspired by it. So he was like fascinated with how she was running her business and communicating with her staff and all of that, how she's accomplished so much. And anyways, so that was actually really fun watch. Let me know what you guys are watching though, because I love talking television and I feel like I'm not fully caught up with everything, like all of the TV that's happening in this world. I like tried to watch Masked Singer. I couldn't get through it. Whatever. And I feel like every new year I decide to read a handful of books. Like I always want to beat my previous record of reading different books. This year, I'm not even going to try to do that because I don't know if any pregnant women have had this same issue, but since I became pregnant, I cannot focus on a book to save my life. I don't know what it is. I could be reading any Frida McFadden, really easy, digestible, quirky murder mystery, sucks you into the first page. I am lost by like chapter 10. Like if I'm having to type into ChatGPT, help, what is happening in chapter 10 of this book that I'm reading, then like, that things are not going well for me. So that's how it's been. I'm going to try really hard to just, if I could do even just like a book a month, that would be so great this year. So we'll see. But yeah, Lord knows if I'm going to be able to pull it off. But if you guys have any good book recommendations that would really stop me from getting distracted, please feel free to send them my way. Again, I don't know why I've struggled so much with just finding one and picking one that I can stick to, but I have had like 5 did not finishes in a row. Not my best way to close out 2025, but it's okay. Here we are. I'm giving myself grace in this season of pregnancy. And thankfully, Frida McFadden is always there for me. I swear. If anything goes wrong, I can just pick up the newest Frida McFadden one because it's crazy. She never sleeps. There's always a new book out. I don't know how she does that. Okay, so enough rambling about my personal life and about books and TV shows and movies and all the things, because I could really talk about that for an entire episode, which maybe I'll do that sometime soon. Let's talk about the bigger picture discussion today, which is why your life is really not a checklist and why you don't need to aggressively restart everything you're doing for 2026. Think of it as like a trust-focused reframe. You're just sort of like reframing your brain and you're not resetting it. I swear, I was like, there's a few podcasts I listen to regularly and everyone is talking about the ways that you could really grab a hold of 2026 and change your life and the mindset shift and how to actually achieve everything you want to achieve in 2026. I think all these things are really great and I'm not knocking them like fully. I think that it's so important to have that motivation in life and to want to change certain aspects of your everyday, right? That's just always, personal growth and growing with life. I think it's so important. At the same time, there is so much pressure to do that in January and to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go and do this thing that I've never done before. I'm going to do it every day now. And it could be a lot. It's a lot. So why your life is not a checklist and why you don't need to rush into all of the aggressive changes in January. Reason number 1 being about your timeline and how it's so important to trust your timeline. I talked about this in my very first episode of Hey Hannah earlier this fall, but how you're meant to trust your timeline, not control it. And sometimes in January, it could feel like you have to take control of this year and you have to work in like a deadline fashion for everything that you want to accomplish. Deadlines really assume that you could see everything, like that you could see the whole picture. Whereas you actually can't. And this is what I talked about in depth in that episode. If you ever want to go back and you have some thoughts and feelings about trusting your own timeline, and if you're in a season of waiting, I highly suggest listening to that episode, because I take a deep dive into why trusting your timeline is so beneficial for you. And one of the things that I say is that you're not meant to see the full picture. So in that episode, in that first episode I did, was talking so much about how you are not behind. I think with me personally in the past, every New Year's, and again, because my birthday's in January, it was all like a lump sum of me hitting the reset button in January. Every New Year's in January, I would think that I needed to create an entirely new version of myself to get through that year. And not only do that, but to feel like I was being productive in the things that I couldn't control. Does that make any sense? I was always, and I always use this as an example, so forgive me if this was like not your life story and you're sick of me saying this, but being the chronically single girlfriend, I always felt like, okay, if I get through this whole year without getting a boyfriend or without having a successful relationship, I did something wrong, something is failing, and I need to switch my actions. Like I need to do something better or differently. And I talked about this in my first episode on how sometimes you're not meant to know when or how something is going to happen in your life. You literally just have to wait. And like there's nothing you can do. There's no rebranding that you could possibly do to see the whole picture. Creating these checklists and these deadlines for January, and like these are the things I'm going to do to improve myself. Again, they're all great to do, but if you're doing it in a way of like, oh, I need to fix this about myself, and it's coming from a deeper place, like a place of I wish I had X, Y, and Z. That's where trusting your timeline comes into play, and knowing you're not meant to know what it is. I always say that. I'm like, it's just the whole point of trusting your timeline. Like anytime you talk about trusting, you're just not supposed to know the outcome, right? You're supposed to trust that it is what it is. And it's the same thing when it comes to your life. If there's something that you're waiting for, um, and you feel that sort of sense of, I don't want to say doom because that sounds insane. That's like so dramatic. But if you feel that sense of exhaustion of like, oh my goodness, it's been another year and I don't have that thing that I've been looking for, even if it's your health, like if you're like, you want to get to the gym and it's something you haven't had time for and you have that impending doom, it's like letting go of that urgency will help the timing do its work. And this brings me to my second reason, because I want to say that what's meant for you doesn't require constant force. Like you don't need to constantly change things in order to get to what's meant for you. And I don't want to look through that with a fine tooth comb, because I don't mean sit around and do nothing and, like don't explore new things and don't feel fulfilled and whatever. I hope you know what I mean by that. But it's really about like alignment and knowing where you fit in and how you want to scratch that itch that you've been thinking about for a long time versus effort. The best way I could describe this is sort of that thing of what is meant for you will find you in the timing that it is supposed to, not in the timing that you're creating and that you're expecting for yourself. And a lot of times it's so annoying, but it's like society forcing us to think that we need to get certain things done by a certain time. Hello. I mean, I met Peter when I was 33. If you looking back now, I'm like 33 is so young. Like that's so amazing. I thought 33 was 65. And it's because of what society pushes on young women and this urgency that they push on people. I actually thought of this recently because before I got married, I was going through old journals because I've always written in my journals. And I used to do this thing that I would see on like social media that would say that you needed to write a full list of everything that you wanted in a partner, like a very detailed list, in order to really like manifest it and create him. Going back and looking at that list of things that I wanted in a spouse and things that I prioritized. And I was like, these are the 10 things that are the most important to me in a guy. I did this like 400 times because, well, first of all, the internet told me to. And I felt like it would make me feel like I was doing something for my future. Like it made me feel productive in an area I could not feel productive in. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think there's truth in writing and knowing what you want and feeling really present in that. I think that there's a lot of like healing in that process. But it made me laugh because I wrote down so many little things throughout the years that were a little different because it was a result of the version of myself at that time. And that version I thought was best. Does that make sense? Like there were a few steady constants on the list that were always on the list, some core things I always wanted in a guy. But then there were also some things on there that I could tell it was a reflection of who I was talking to at that time and who I really wanted it to work out with, or what I thought a guy wanted based on a conversation I had earlier that year, something like that. Whereas looking back, I so easily could just like smell the version of myself that was writing that one. Like I don't even have to look at the year or the month. I'm like, oh my God, I know that was when I was talking to so-and-so and it ended like this or whatever, because I'm reading it and I'm like, Hannah, WTF. I know that I was doing that because I was going through a thing and I thought I needed to be a certain way. My point is that what is meant for you will find you, and you don't have to work so hard to get through all of these details and these like reimagined ways of looking at things in order to feel accomplished in that category of the thing you're looking for. Like you just don't have to work so hard. It will come to you, like the thing that you're looking for and the thing that you want to do this year. If you just trust that it will happen, it will come to you. But yeah, rereading some of those lists of things that I wanted in a guy made me laugh because the whole reason why I was looking for it is because I wanted to give it to Peter as like like a fun thing to read before the wedding. Like these are the things I wrote in 2018 of like what I wanted in a husband, and haha, you're all of them. And like, while that was mostly the case, like he's mostly all of them, there's some things that I wrote on there that were so specific and like nutty. Like, I'm like, what was I doing? And I was just trying so hard to please the version of myself that was in that year. And funny enough, it's like the growth I was experiencing was already doing its job. Like me just evolving and that list changing over time was exactly what needed to happen. And then the timing of meeting my partner when I did happened. You get what I'm saying here? Like the growth is what defines you, not the checklist itself. It's like, it's the evolution of it and how it changes. And I think that that's just something that we don't see until we're done with it yet. Like until we're out of that chapter of life and we can look back and be like, oh, I get now why I'm supposed to do X, Y, and Z. I said this before in my first episode, but it's just not supposed to make sense when you're going through it. It's only supposed to make sense when you're done. And then you can look at it all and be like, oh, I see the clear picture now. So yeah, that's what I mean when I say what's meant for you doesn't require constant effort and constant force. Now, if you're like, Hannah, I want to lose 10 pounds or I want to gain muscle this year and I really want to get consistent in my physical health because it helps my mental health. Like all of those things, of course, they require consistent force. That's not what I'm talking about here. By the way, I always want to do an episode on just wellness in general. One of the biggest parts of my mental health is going to the gym and my fitness. And it's something that I really love doing. And I always want to talk about it. So I should do an episode on that soon. But anyways, okay, another reason why your life does not need to be a checklist in 2026 is because a checklist really focuses on what is missing, what's not there. It tends to highlight things that haven't happened yet or things that are simply out of our control. What you can't see in a checklist is the stuff that we have no control over. So, timing, other people, relationships, moods, health, just like being tired, seasons of needing time off, transitioning. Like you could be doing your very best and still not feel like you have everything in place. And that doesn't mean that you're not doing a good job. It just means that you're human. I think a lot of times when we create a checklist of things that we want to accomplish, of things that we want to do, we end up focusing on the outcome instead of all of the shifting variables that come with that outcome. So I mean this by saying like checklists sometimes can feel like you're keeping score of something. Like, okay, what didn't I get to today? What didn't I get to this month? If you're looking at that thing that you want to change and that you want to rebrand this year and you feel like you haven't done it yet, it feels like you haven't tried. When in reality you have. And we're just not putting into play all these other things that can happen in a day, in a year, in a month, and you're just doing your best. I think it's so important to remember that there are seasons that need rest and slowing down and waiting and healing, and those don't produce visible results. Like we don't see the results of that, but people are still doing the important work that's going behind those results or that's going behind those seasons. You can still be showing up. You can still be trying. You can still be shifting internally and growing internally and working on these like little tiny things, like these baby steps that you're taking towards that big goal, but nobody can see it. So you feel like, great, I can't check that off my list. I haven't done that thing yet. I haven't hit that. I want to hit that number in my bank account. I haven't hit it yet. I want to get that raise at work, or I want to get that title bump at work and I haven't gotten it yet. I want to have a family, expand my family in this year, or move closer to family, whatever it looks like for you. It doesn't mean that you don't want it badly enough, and it doesn't mean that it's not meant to be yours. It's all so much more complex than that, and it's layered, and it's just not fully controllable. So when I say that the checklist focuses on what's missing, and what's missing is simply like, it sounds silly, but what's missing is grace, is like giving yourself grace that those results might take longer. It sometimes has nothing to do with you and your effort and what you're putting forth in this world. You could be doing your very best at work and still, because of a trillion reasons we can't even get into, it's corporate policy. You actually can't get a title bump until Q4, and you have no control over that whatsoever. So I guess what I'm trying to get at here is like, instead of feeling like you need to rebrand everything and you need to hit these goals that are in your vision board and all of that, know that any little step you take is progress, even if it doesn't feel like it. And even if you actually go backwards, like 5 steps when you're beginning this process, you're honoring yourself by trying it, even though, other people might not be able to see what you're doing, and that's okay. Okay, and I feel like I have just been rambling so much right now. I hope everything I'm saying makes sense. I really just wanted to talk about this feeling of a checklist and how heavy it feels in January, because it's just something that I personally have been feeling and thinking, and it's the checklist I put on myself. Like, yes, society tells us that we need to reset and rebrand and reimagine in January, but I also want to do these things. Like, I want to see certain change in my life, and I feel like if I do X, Y, and Z, it's going to get me there. But it's like, ugh, it's just not linear. And there's no easy way to get to all of this stuff and always feel like we're moving forward. We're just bound to feel like crap some days and like feel like we just like need a freaking break and that we're tired and we don't want to change. We don't want to do this anymore. That feeling is so real of just being like, I'm actually sick of moving and shaking so much. I just need this to happen. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, because sometimes doing absolutely nothing is the best thing you can do for yourself. Like you don't have to go and try to change everything. You can just exist and remember that like what is meant for you will not miss you. So if you want these things in life, like you will get them, they will happen. And if you do need to go out there and go get it yourself and, make the more money or go to the gym more, whatever you are trying to accomplish, it's not going to happen in a day. So you have to give yourself grace in every day, knowing that this is a process. This is a lifestyle. I used to tell myself that about the gym. Like if I missed going to the gym, I've talked about this before, but going to the gym became like a mental health thing for me a lot when I was working in the weeds of working in television. It was really the only time of the day that I felt good about myself. And I feel like I got like slightly addicted to it. And I thought it was a good thing. I actually still think it was quite fine. But there were days, and this was me learning how everything should ebb and flow. There were days or weeks where I didn't go. And I would sort of beat myself up over it of like, oh my God, like, how are you, you're not actually gonna see these physical changes, or you're not going to feel good about yourself if you don't go. And I would beat myself up over it internally. Well, you can't eat that thing because you didn't go to the gym for the past 3 days and da 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 da. I say that all because you have to remember it's a lifestyle. Like what you're doing is not, or what you want to happen and what you're trying to do is not something that can happen in 1 day, 7 days, 10 days, 3 months sometimes. It is the consistency and it is the like lifestyle change of all of it. So if you're not doing well one day, or if you need a break one day, just remember, take the break, honor yourself, give yourself grace, and know that you got tomorrow. And then you have tomorrow's tomorrow. And like you will find time to make it happen. Again, when it comes to some of these like tangible, practical things that we want to change in our 2026, you can do them. We can do them. They're right in front of us. But there's certain things that we can't control whatsoever. And what you see on social media of people saying, this is how they got to this in just 7 days, like it's all bullshit. I'm just going to say it. You know what's funny is the thing that I see most, and this is, of course, my algorithm right now is all pregnancy, right? Because, of course, it is. I'm in my 3rd trimester. And I'm still getting through the concept that I have to like actually give birth, you know? It's kind of funny. I'm like over here for 8 months now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, whoops. I realized I have to actually get this thing out of me. So my feed right now is full of women telling me what they ate and how they had a perfect labor. I think this is so funny because it's so unrealistic. Like you have to eat 9 dates a day and you have to drink this raspberry leaf tea, which I'm not knocking. I'm going to do those things. I would like to try it. Dates are delicious and tea seems easy. So like, why not? But women are putting this on other women of like, these are the things that I did. And the tea and the dates are just an example, but like, these are the things I did in order to have a perfect seamless labor. You can do it too. And it's like, we're not putting any other factors out there. Like, what are we talking about? We don't know this person's health. We don't know this person's age. We don't know how many children this person has had. We don't know their lifestyle, what their genes allow and don't allow. There's so many factors that go into this that are just like part of the human ethos that nobody talks about. And everything is so simplified online to be like, this is how I made 7 figures this month. You could do the same thing. And it's like, okay, well, you were working on that for a year. Actually, you didn't just hit the 7 figures in 1 month. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's so much of this where I just want to say we all need to give each other grace because no two things can ever be the same. And it's designed that way. Like, we are supposed to grow through all of it. And this is why the growth in between the checklist is better than the checklist itself. This is why I wanted to talk about how your life is not a checklist, because sometimes that can feel so empty and just unfulfilling. And also, like, I'm just tired. I don't want to make another checklist. I already do that for work. For myself, I just want to try my best and know I'm trying my best. The things that I'm trying my best in 2026, I'm actually going to do, I'm going to try a little bit of meditation. I used to do it a lot and I used to love it. I consider it like a form of prayer for me. So I just haven't done it in a long time and it would really bring me a lot of peace. So I'm going to try to meditate a little bit more. And like, no joke, that's all I've thought of. I haven't thought of anything else I want to do in 2026. Now, of course, I have a lot of goals. I always want to make more money. I always want to step into a better version of myself, whatever that looks like. But this year is weird because I'm now a wife. That's brand new. Hello. Never been that before. And I'm about to be a mom. So the only other thing I've thought of where I'm like, oh, that's a thing I want to accomplish this year is slowing down. Like slowing down and enjoying life and prioritizing existing. In all of my years of hustling in New York City and in Florida and just in television, I would always envy the people who looked like they just existed, like who could go for a walk in the middle of the day. Like that is such a flex. I always thought that. So I want to practice seeing that as a positive thing when I'm doing it and when I have time to do it. Like if I have time to go for a walk in the middle of the day, I want to do it and not feel guilty that I'm choosing to do that instead of working at the moment. Does that make sense? Okay. This was like a total ramble-thon. I had more reasons for why your life is on a checklist, but like I feel like we hit all of them anyways, and I don't even need to get into like the stupid number one, number two, number three thing. I hope this made some sense and that you guys were following along with me here and you're also embracing this whole new season of 2026. We can all do it together. But thank you guys so much for listening to Hey Hannah. I will be having a new monthly freebie. If it's not there under this episode today, check back tomorrow. And I'm hoping to have that up, some new monthly downloads and some graphics for you guys. But thank you so much for listening and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.